Hey guys, thanks so much for joining me again. So this is a continuation of a series of tutorial videos that I'm trying to put together to kind of help out new vapors, help familiarize them with some of the basics of vaping, really in regards to ego kits. Now, if you happen to be using some other kit other than an ego kit and you need some help out with it, please leave me a comment on what you're using and the nature of your question, and I'll do my best to get either the device together, the kit together, or see if I can just answer the questions for you. And if there's need for me to make an entirely different video to help you out with whatever problems you're running into, I'll do my best to do that. So my last video we kind of went through the basics of putting an Ego C kit together, and that was really using the kind of under the understanding that you have just a basic Ego battery. Now there are, to best of my knowledge, 5 different variations of the Ego battery that are out there right now. I have 4 of them. The only one that I don't have is there is a selectable voltage Ego battery that works basically, it's a variable voltage, technically a variable voltage device that allows you to go up and down in voltage depending on how many times you click the button. So if you're not familiar with why you need a variable voltage, maybe you don't need a variable voltage. The gist of how an Ego battery works is once you charge it and you hit the button, it provides a certain amount of voltage. This is a standard 1000 mAh Ego battery. It is not a selectable voltage, not a variable voltage. This is just your run-of-the-mill basic Ego battery. So when you vape this, you have an effective vaping voltage of about 3.3 volts. The circuitry inside of here is regulated, so as long as your battery has any kind of a charge on it, you should get a pretty even standard 3.3 volts no matter what you're doing. Now there are some variations that occur in them, and that's just because of the circuitry, the nature of the batteries. So if you're using one of these and you're really happy with the vape that you're getting out of it, you don't need to worry about variable voltage. If you're using one of these and you're pretty happy with it, but you'd like maybe a little more vapor production, or you would like the vapor to be a little warmer in temperature, that's when selectable voltage or variable voltage kind of comes into play. You can get something similar to the Ego Twist here, which is a variable voltage device, which means similar to the standard Ego battery. The difference is the bottom here twists and is actually numbered along the bottom from 3.2 all the way up to, I believe it goes up to, 4.8 volts. So the higher the voltage, typically the more vapor production you're going to get, and the warmer the vapor is going to feel to you while you're using it. Now, if you're new to vaping, my suggestion is don't worry so much about the numbers, where you're vaping at. Are you vaping at 3.2? Are you vaping at 4.0? Are you vaping at 4.8? Realistically, the best way to use a variable voltage device is you put your atomizer on it, you put your juice on it, start at the low end, start at 3.2 and vape it. If you vape it and you like it, great. If you're thinking to yourself, man, I wish that was just a little bit warmer or a little bit more vapor, turn it up. We'll go up to 4.0. Man, that's pretty nice. It's a pretty satisfying vape. If you still need a little bit more, turn it up a little bit more. This maxes out at about 4.8. Now, you will run into a couple little issues if you crank it up too high, which you can do. There are a lot of atomizers out there, a lot of vaporizers out there, and you're going to encounter some information on those atomizers and cartomizers out there they're rated at particular ohm settings, anywhere from about 1.5 ohms of resistance all the way up to 3.0 ohms of resistance. So what that means is basically how hot the heating element in the atomizer gets. At 1.5 ohms, which is the lowest, you're going to get a more effective use of the voltage that's coming out of your device. So if you're at 1.5 ohms at 3.2 or 3.3, you're going to get better vapor production and more heat than you would, say, at a 3 ohm atomizer at 3.2. The reason there are so many variations is because everybody likes their vapor a little bit differently. There are a lot of people that like 3.3 or 3.5 ohms on a 1.5 atomizer, and there are some people that will swear by 5 or 6 volts at 3 ohms. It's a little different experience, and you're just going to have to kind of play around and find your happy place, kind of your perfect scenario to that. The Ego Twist makes that real nice and easy, because you just dial it up and down until you find where it's nice. Now if you're using, for instance, a 1.5 atomizer and you crank this all the way up to 4.8, you're probably going to notice that you're going to reduce how much flavor you're tasting. It may even taste a little bit burnt, and you could potentially damage the atomizer. So if you're turning it up and you're getting better and better flavor and more heat, and then all of a sudden that flavor goes away, you just need to turn it down a little bit. Okay, so that's kind of your basics on using an Ego Twist. Now a different battery that's kind of come out recently is the Ego Upgrade battery, and that's all they're calling it, is the Ego Upgrade. So what they've basically done with this battery is you have 2 different settings on here. When you first get these and first turn them on, like any other Ego battery, 5 clicks to turn it on, and it flashes to let you know it's on. Now, in the mode that it's in right now is the regular regulated voltage on it, okay, which means that regardless of how much battery charge is left in here, you're going to get 3.3 volts or pretty close to it. Now they have the option with these upgraded batteries to go to an unregulated mode, which when you turn it off, 5 clicks to turn it off, you're going to push and hold this button for about 5 seconds. And you're going to notice it flash 3 times. Now they say it's supposed to be orange. It's really kind of an off-white color, but it's normally is going to flash blue on you when you turn it on. So now once you changed it, go ahead and turn it back on, and you see it's kind of that off-white color instead of that nice clean white color that it was before. Well, now what happens is it bypasses the regulated voltage of 3.3, and with a full charge you can potentially get up to about 4.3 volts on it. Now the trick is as your battery life starts to die down, your voltage is slowly going to drop as well. So it's not going to stay at 4.3. At about 50% charge, it's going to come down to more like the 3.3 voltage. But it's nice because on a full battery charge it will give you that warmer sensation similar to what the Ego Twist does. The difference is again, the Ego Twist will maintain whatever voltage you have it on excuse me, until the battery completely dies out. So it's just a little different option. And of course, to go back to your regulated voltage, you have to first turn it off and then push and hold your button again for 5 seconds. Once you do that, it'll flash back to your blue light. You can turn it back on, and now you see you got that nice clean white light to it, and that lets you know that you're back on the regulated 3.3 voltage on it. Now the selectable voltage Egos, the way they typically will work is once you turn them on, depending on how many clicks, and I apologize again, I don't have one of these. I believe you click it either 3 or 5 times and it flashes at you to let you know what voltage you're at. So you can select again anywhere from 3.3, I believe it goes up to like 3.8, and then I think it'll go up to like 4.5, and again we'll maintain that particular voltage until your battery will no longer sustain that voltage. That may be a little bit of, I may be getting a little technical for you if this is your first experience with these, and I apologize. If you need any more clarification on these things, let me know down in the comments, and I'll try and simplify it a little easier for you. Now, the other variation that I have is the Ego pass-through battery, which this is a 1,000-mile pass-through. And what a pass-through is instead of just being limited to charging it here at your atomizer connection, this actually has a little cap at the bottom of it that unscrews, and you'll see you have a mini USB port at the bottom of it. So these come with a USB cable that plugs into the bottom, and then the other side of it is a standard USB connection that you can plug into your computer, your laptop. What that allows you to do is you can actually use this device while it's charging. And you get a little bit better vape off of it while it's charging, and that's just kind of one of those neat things. The only reason I have this is, well, there's not really a reason I have it. I just have it because I wanted to pass through. But it's again just kind of an extra neat little thing that you can buy if you're just buying a battery instead of a kit where you maybe have multiple batteries and this is your sole device that you're using. When the battery dies, you're not stuck having to wait for it to charge up before you can use it again. You can simply plug in your USB cable and go ahead and keep vaping while it's recharging itself. As far as the on-off features on all these, they're all the same. 5 clicks to turn them off. They all flash at you. 5 clicks to turn them back on. Flashes at you, let them know that they're good to go again. They all use the exact same charger that you plug in. Charge time's all about the same on them. So the Ego batteries are fairly reliable. There tends to be only one issue, that if you're using it and all of a sudden your atomizer is not firing, it stops working on you, you've changed out to a different atomizer and that one's still not firing. There is one thing that tends to happen on these. Inside of the end of this, which is the end that you put your atomizer, there is a little pin inside. Now that pin is in there with a little rubber seal that keeps, of course, any juice from going down inside of it. And that pin can actually get pushed down. And I do have this happen with a couple of my Ego batteries. Every time I charge them, for whatever reason, the charger pushes that pin down, and then when I go to put my atomizer on it, it will no longer fire for me. Because that pin has to make contact with a pin on the inside of your atomizer. And if those aren't making good contact, you get no fire. So we're going to get a little closer look at that pin, and I'll show you how to adjust that. Alright, so one of the problems that you may have from time to time, again, is this little center pin inside of here is, and this may be a little hard to see, there is a little center pin with a little rubber ring around the outside of it, okay? Every once in a while these pins can get pushed down, and in order to get them firing again you just need to kind of pull them up, and it's exactly the same on any Ego style battery. So all you need to do is get you a small screwdriver. I happen to have, you know, one of these little guys, but any small screwdriver or even a little pocket knife or something will do, and you just kind of stick it on the side of that pin and just kind of pull up on it a little bit. You don't want to pull too hard, because usually the difference between making a good connection is just a tiny little amount, and you just kind of go around it and lift it up just a little bit, and you just kind of push it to the side, and it'll wind up wedging itself up a little bit. And then, you know, obviously test it out. Don't overdo it, just do it a little bit. Screw your atomizer back onto it and test it out, and you might be able to hear that we are firing.
So again, I've got a couple of them that every time I charge them, for whatever reason, I guess my charger pushes them down too far, that I have to go and pull them up a little bit before I go to use them again. Other than that, the Ego batteries are really very reliable. I've never had one that just outright didn't work, you know, when I got them. So if you've done everything you can think of to get it working, they're turning on, or maybe they won't charge, and you've tried different chargers, you've tried pulling the pin up, just contact your vendor and see if they can help you out. Maybe it's possible you got a bad battery or something along that lines, and they'll swap you out for another one. Not sure. Obviously, that's going to be up to your vendor, wherever you bought them from. But the occurrence that these are actually bad is extremely, extremely low. It just almost never happens. So, you know, talk to your vendor if you can't seem to get it figured out. I'm sure they'll be helpful. Listen to their advice, because when they tell you that, you know, these things are never bad, they're being honest with you. These things are almost never bad. So hope that helps you answer some questions about your batteries. If you had any kind of issues or problems with them, I hope that answered some of your questions. Again, if there's anything that I didn't cover that you need some help with, just leave me a comment down in the comment section, or send me an email or a message. I'll do my best to answer them for you. Appreciate you watching, and hope this helps.